Future Proof is sponsored by Concordia Dental Healthcare, expert care you can trust.
Hello and welcome back from the break. You're watching Sarah Hopwood here on Future Proof as I continue this programme today looking at some of the negative words that can really floor us and how thinking more emotionally intelligently, emotional intelligence empowers us to respond rather than react. It's about our emotions, it's about our core values, it's about our beliefs, about our behaviours, and all those mingled in the mixing bowl then determine the outcomes that we get and also how we feel about those outcomes. And going into the break I was talking about when you get a no, and a no should never stop motion. Yes, we should wonder why it's a no, look into it, we might learn something from the answers that we get, but also there are always naysayers. People will always say no, particularly if you've got a smart idea and a good initiative. There's always a barrier there. Before now I've been given a picture of a chair. As soon as you've got something that you want to do, and as soon as there's an initiative, a chair appears, which is the barrier. And that barrier very often can be a no. And a no should never ever stop your motion, your movement. Yes, discern, double check that you're right, check your motives. Why is it you want this, that and the other? And if you are still feeling it's right for you, then be inspired by kids that you know, wherever they are, or watch them. Even if you're watching them from a distance, if a child asks for an ice cream and is told no, rarely do they just accept it as a no. You then watch all these tactics go into action where they try and get their ice cream, and we can learn something from that. So be inspired when you hear a no. It doesn't always mean no. It may be not yet, not here, not with me. Investigate it and keep moving. Don't stop, because that's the worst thing. When we're not moving, nothing can happen. But obviously discernment is important too. So another one is objection. So objection, very often if we get an objection, then we can think that is negative. You know, why is it you're so negative about what I'm saying or what I'm doing? Well, first of all, how we see it very often is how we are wired. It only happened to me recently when I put a positive, uplifting comment on someone's profile, and or it was a conversational piece, and in the past I've used exactly the same language to other people and they've gone, cool, thank you Sarah, that's inspiring, and what have you, and this person took it negatively. So that's my responsibility, because if things don't land the way that we intend them to land, then it is the responsibility of the communicator to do something about that. So they wanted to remove the comment, which was fine. I said that's absolutely fine, I wish you well. And obviously to me it's a lesson that my way of thinking was not in alignment at all with their way of thinking. So the best and the smartest and the kindest and the gentlest thing I could do was back off, go away, fine. You carry on and good luck, and still that kind of momentum behind them. And I think he even finished by going, go girl, go and sort it kind of stuff. So when you get an objection, it's not always a negative thing. If you have an objection in negotiation, then that's very good news, because if somebody is objecting, then it tells me they're still in the room, they're still having the conversation, there is still scope to compromise, to maybe win something over, transfer it, I can't think of the right word, convert it. You know, but to me objection is actually good news, because it means there's a conversation still to be had. The smartest thing is to not knee-jerk on that, because sometimes if you think something is an objection is negative, then you will have a negative knee-jerk reaction, and you've actually then lost something that could have been really good, because you didn't suspend and consider a response. Remember, emotional intelligence empowers us to respond rather than react. So use that way of thinking when you get an objection. Another one is confrontation. Now, confrontation is a life skill, and very, very often, if there are wrong outcomes from an objection, very often that can mean that confrontation has basically been avoided. And some people can wear, and I say this with respect because there's people in my family who do not like confrontation, so they will avoid it at all costs. And some people wear that with a badge of honour. They think that it's very, very good that I don't like confrontation, and they herald themselves, if you like, as a better person, the person that does attempt to deal and confront with stuff. The danger is if you are non-confrontational, then if you're not careful, your tactics are that you go away, you talk to other people, you don't talk to the person you should be talking to, and then what you can do is, some might call it gossiping or whatever, where often we look for a pack of people, we a fan club, if you like, and then we settle because that's what we want. We feel, oh, that's okay, I'm safe in my fan club, they think I'm right, they're behind me, and as a tactic, that's passive aggressive. That's actually a very, very aggressive thing to do, but you're doing it passively because you're not talking to the person you should be talking to. Or some people do talk to the person they should be talking to and they still go to their fan club, and what you're doing is talking to people who weren't even there. You are directing and trying to influence their opinion on what happened, on the situation, to make you feel more comfortable. So what I say is, learn how to confront. Practice in front of the mirror. Practice the sayings that you might be using. I'm not happy that you said that to me. That's not the way that I meant it. This is what I wanted to say to you. And practice it. And the other thing too is, when you've mastered the art of confrontation, please, please, please try and avoid then going back to, if you like, your fan club. Just make sure that confrontation happens with the person concerned and that you respect that honest interaction and you leave it there. That's the advice on confrontation. Criticism. So often we don't like being criticised, and there's a great saying which I hope inspires you, because it inspired me, and my family have told me before that in past years I've not taken criticism very well, so these are badges, if you like, that we all wear. There's a great saying that if you've not been criticised for anything, then you've not stood for anything. And when I really absorbed the meaning of that saying, oh boy did it spur me on. I thought, yes, my greatest fear is I don't want to leave this planet without doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And we all, I think, have a mission, and this isn't all just faith-based. There are other people with different ways of thinking that say the same thing. We are all here for a purpose, and finding that purpose sometimes can take a lifetime, but equally there are some really young people who already know their purpose. I believe my purpose on this planet is championing hope. So everything I do, I try and champion hope. Does it bring criticism? Yes, of course it does, because you have to stand up and you have to stand out, and you have to also say things that might slightly grate sometimes on other people, but that's also when you get very, very valuable other opinions coming into the room. There's one group that I go to on a Friday, and somebody said, oh my gosh, the debate on this is so much better now. There are many, many more people contributing, and I suggested maybe one of the reasons why is that because people are being more self-assured in their opinion, they're speaking out more, and because they're being, let's say, more direct, those that would normally remain quiet can't anymore, because they're so stirred up, they've been grated on by somebody else's opinion, so they have no choice but to say, I disagree with that, which is awesome. I love diverse conversation, and it is how we learn. So if you're going to do anything, you will be criticised. I'm always inspiring people to warn them, say this will happen, but keep going. You've got a job to do. Make sure that you get that job done. Failure is not fatal. And it was Churchill's definition of failure that I used to hate that now inspires me, where he says he went from one failure to another. And why does it inspire me? Because there's another saying, and there's all these things that inspire me. If you're not failing, it means you're not growing. And that was I want to grow. I'm hungry to learn and develop my thinking. If I'm not failing, I'm not growing. My gosh, I've got to get on and start failing. And the last one is challenge. Be challenged and challenge other people. Before now, I had a CEO who said to me, your main role in this business, Sarah, is to challenge me. Being so high up the food chain, too many people have got yes people around them the whole time. And there's nothing worse. People often will go back to their yes world where they feel safe. And sometimes, actually, some of those people should be turning around and challenging them and saying, well, you should be thinking about this in a different way. Why don't you stop being so sensitive, or why don't you think and why don't you go back and do something positive in return? Be challenged, allow yourself to be challenged, and challenge other people. So those are negative things that we can turn into positives.